Hi, I'm Javier, and I'm a chef at ALDI's Test Kitchen. Been a professional chef for 8 years.
Hi everybody, my name is Tricia. I am with the ALDI Test Kitchen. I've been with ALDI for going on 5 years. I've been a chef for going on 20. I know that I just dated myself there, but that's okay.
I'm gonna show you how to make an easy lasagna for you and your family to enjoy.
We are going to be making fresh homemade pasta for our nutritious and delicious vegetarian lasagna. Don't be intimidated at all. The pasta making process is not as scary as it sounds. You can knock it out. But before, let's go off to go and get all of our amazing ingredients.
So let's get going, Aldi. So for my lasagna recipe, I decided to go with a ricotta cheese and a mascarpone cheese. With the addition of these two, it gives the lasagna a nice light and creamy texture.
When making lasagna, you have a wide array of cheeses that you can combine in order to get a final great dish. I decided on Manchego because it's delicious. It is a sheep milk cheese, and if you are lactose intolerant, it is safe to nibble on while you're assembling your lasagna.
Sometimes great cooking just comes down to properly seasoning your food. We're gonna use some thyme and oregano to give a boost of flavor.
Wine. Who doesn't love wine, people? My favorite topic ever. Okay, so I chose this baby to go with my lasagna because it is one of Aldi's famous award-winning bottles of wine. You can pop this baby open while you're preparing the lasagna. There are no rules.
We're back from shopping at Aldi, and I'm super excited. We got some great ingredients.
They are going to be going in one delicious vegetarian lasagna. It is loaded with protein. We're going to use our vegetarian protein burger. One of my favorite ingredients is the butternut squash. Can't go wrong with that. I'm yet to meet somebody who doesn't like zucchini.
They're a great selection of cheeses. We got 5 here to be exact. We're gonna make a gooey, cheesy, creamy, and very rich lasagna for your family to enjoy. So let's get cooking. We're gonna go ahead and take our marinara sauce and we're gonna doctor it up a little bit by sweating out some onions and garlic into the sauce. Add a little bit of oil to the pan. Just kind of swirl it around a little bit. Then we're gonna add an onions and garlic and then just kind of sweating it out. You'll know when it's ready when the onions start getting a little translucent and the garlic becomes very fragrant.
If you've never made pasta, don't be intimidated. You can do it. You don't actually need to leave your house to go and get any of the ingredients. We have flour, we have eggs, we have salt. It's basically staples that everybody has around their home. All right, so first things first, I will crack some eggs. The eggs is going to lend as the glue. It's what gives the pasta its flavor. We have 2 cups of flour. So we create a little well. The next step that we'll do is we'll add some salt. I love using it this way, adding it to the circumference of the flour. The next thing, we will add that to the well and start working from the inside of the well. When you're planning a romantic meal, why not start something from scratch and pour all that extra love in there?
Now that it's been going for a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and start adding our marinara to the pan. Got our 2 jars of marinara going in the pan right now, so we're gonna go ahead and stir this up a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and let this guy simmer out for about 30 minutes. We want that flavor to really infuse into the marinara. We'll go ahead and bring our pan for the ground beef to the front, and we'll move that pan to the back, so that guy will just sit back there. Get a little bit of ground oil in here to get the ground beef going. We're gonna let this oil heat up for about 30 seconds. The pan has been going, so we're gonna let the oil catch up to the temperature. Then once we get that ground beef in there, we're really gonna start working it with our spoon, just kind of breaking it up as it goes. Your ground beef's gonna wanna stick to the pan a little bit, and that's fine. That's all that browning that's gonna happen. And this first part's very crucial. You really wanna kinda get your spoon in there and break it really, really well. You don't wanna leave any large clumps in there, because the more that we break it up, the more crumblier it's gonna be, and we're gonna be able to spread that throughout the lasagna really well.
So I'm going to use a little bit of dry flour. What you don't want to do is you don't want to overwork your dough. because it'll toughen up the dough, and you will probably end up like with something similar to elastic bands. I don't think that'll make for a good romantic meal. Fresh pasta definitely beats pre-made pasta. So after you have everything incorporated and you have formed a smooth ball of dough, we are going to wrap it in plastic wrap and have it rest for 30 minutes. After that, we will portion it, roll it out, and create our pasta sheets.
So we've kind of stirred this around a little bit. We got some nice broken up crumbles of ground beef here. Gonna go ahead and season it with a pinch of salt, tiny pinch of black pepper, and some red pepper flakes. So we're really close for this ground beef to be pretty cooked through. We have very little pink left, so we're gonna go ahead and start killing the heat on this. And with the residual heat from the pan, it'll continue cooking the uncooked parts of the ground beef, but it won't dry it out.
Okay, so at this point, our dough has rested for 30 minutes. We transfer the dough onto a floured surface, portion the dough out. I'm going to use this one sheet. Depending on how thick you do prefer your pasta, you can feed it through twice or 3 times. It's all a matter of preference, but you can go as thin as you like. There is no wrong way around it. The only thing that you need to pay attention to is that it doesn't get that thin where you are not able to work with it. We're just cutting a few of these. They will form the different layers within the lasagna.
Now that we have all our components for this lasagna, we're gonna start assembling it. We took 3 minutes at most to get this ground beef nice and cook through. We got a nice 30-minute marinara sauce that just is loaded with flavor. And we have another component of our dish, the mascarpone and ricotta cheese mixture, just mixed up with a little bit of oregano and thyme, just kind of to boost that flavor throughout the lasagna.
Right, so we are assembling our delicious lasagna. We're going to use a ramekin, which already has been prepared with cooking spray. First off, we're going to use the marinara sauce, but it is not just ordinary marinara. We used marinara and we buzzed it with garbanzo beans to give it a little bit of texture, but also just to give it that added protein. Essentially, this will be a vegetarian lasagna, but with double the amount of protein, because you also get your protein from the vegetarian burger.
So let's start making this guy. We're gonna start off with a little bit of pan spray, kind of really coat the bottom of your pan. We've got a 9x13 here. We're gonna take a small spoonful of this marinara sauce that we made. We're gonna layer it on in the base. It's gonna create a nice protection at the bottom, but also it'll help cook the pasta from under. You don't want any raw pasta going throughout. It smells great. All the onions and the garlic that we cooked off before we added the marinara sauce are really coming through. I think this is gonna taste really great.
So we start with just a simple amount of marinara at the bottom. Next, I like to do one of our pasta sheets. We can do some of the vegetarian burger. This is a mixture of cottage cheese and ricotta. And we mixed some chopped basil, some black pepper into that. We have some baby spinach. We have a mixture of manchego and mozzarella cheese over here. The reason why I like the combination, because it's like bringing the best of 2 worlds together. You have your mozzarella, which lends that gooey deliciousness, and the manchego adds that depth of flavor, that nuttiness. So it's like, you know, an adult flavor to it, but you still have that childlike cheese pull.
So now that we have that first layer of marinara on there, we're gonna start assembling with our lasagna sheets. We're gonna take about 2 to 3 lasagna sheets, just kind of want them evenly layered at the bottom. You know, just as long as they're end to end, that works out really well. And then we're gonna top it off with some of that mascarpone mixture that we had. Take about half of the mascarpone. We're gonna really wanna build it up. You're gonna take a spatula and really flatten it out. Sometimes the sheets kind of move along. It's all right to kind of get your hands in there, and this is a pretty good project. If you got your family near you, you can get everybody hands on deck here. You know, have somebody making the ground beef, somebody helping you build this up.
Add a liberal amount of cheese, because there's no such thing as too much cheese. I'm going to do some butternut squash, my favorite vegetable, because these have been blanched, so you can kind of just break them off to size. Add some more sauce. You can add zucchini if your preference is yellow squash. You should do that because when you make something that you love for someone you love, you should be able to incorporate whatever flavors that you like.
Usually when I'm at home with the family, we like to all get together and everybody just kind of tackles part of dinner. You know, it's no fun when you're in there alone, just cooking. So just cooking with the family is a great time. All right, so we've got a layer down of the mascarpone. Then we're gonna go ahead and get some of the ground beef. You're gonna wanna use about half the ground beef. This is gonna be a beefy ground beef lasagna, so we really want that layer to shine through. Just kinda evenly crumbling it, and this is where really kind of breaking down the ground beef comes in handy. You're not struggling to break some pieces down. It's off the spoon, just kind of falls down, look at that. And then we're just gonna kind of go along with this process. We're gonna get some more marinara on here. Feel free to use a little bit more of this marinara to this portion of it. I would say probably about a little less than half of the sauce. You really want this to spread out. Here you go. And sometimes it's all right if you don't get all the sauce on there. Spread evenly. Eventually between the layers of noodles and the cheese and the ground beef, all that moisture is gonna help keep it nice and juicy and rich.
I love to end my final layer with cheese so that when they go into the oven, the cheese bakes up, everything gets delicious, the flavors all come together. The oven does its magic with the cheese. It turns it gooey, melty, golden, delicious. I like to start it out in the middle, on the middle rack in the oven at 375. And then toward the end, move it up so that it's closer to the broiler to get that crisp, you know, that golden look.
Eventually between the layers of noodles and the cheese and the ground beef, all that moisture is gonna help keep it nice and juicy and rich. Went ahead and added that layer of marinara. We're gonna go over here to our provolone. This is where we start getting into this whole 5-cheese lasagna you've been asking about. We're gonna start getting that on there, see? Just kinda building a good layer. Then we're gonna go on to my secret weapon here. We got some creamy Alfredo sauce. Just kind of really bring that richness out. We're gonna take about half the bottle and just kind of spread it on there. Go back with the spatula. And now we're really trying to get it between the cracks. Now we're gonna go with the mozzarella. We're building layers here. This mozzarella is really it's gonna be nice. Get that nice stringy cheese that you see when it gets nice and melted through. Don't be afraid to layer this on. Everybody loves a good mozzarella, and this is the time to shine. So we're gonna layer on these noodles. This is the third layer of noodles. So what we're gonna be doing here is we're really gonna kind of press down on the noodles so everything just kind of becomes one even layer. And then we're gonna go back to using the mascarpone. We're making that the layer closest to the noodles. We want some of that to kind of seep in on the bottom side. We're gonna take the ground beef that we had browned before, simple, 3 minutes, really easy. All we added was a little bit of red pepper flakes to give it a little bit of heat. That just kind of crumbled really easily on there. Here we go, and then we're adding that second to last scoop of marinara. So we got our lasagna layered up and it's looking pretty beautiful, but we're gonna do one last step before we toss it in the oven. We're just gonna get a nice handful of this Parmesan cheese, just coat it on top. It's gonna give it a nice nutty flavor and make sure that the cheese does not burn once it hits the oven. We've preheated our oven to 425. Once we get the lasagna in, we're gonna immediately drop it to 375 and let it ride out for 50 to 60 minutes until it's done cooking.
We are set for date night. The culmination of your labor of love has come to fruition.
And it looks and smells delicious. I can't wait to dig in.
What better way to pair such a delicious meal than with a bottle of equally delicious Cabernet Sauvignon to get the night, the perfect night, off to a great start.
This recipe is simple, it's affordable, and it's delicious for you and your family to enjoy. So let's eat.
Enjoy.